Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Swiss Finance Council, I would like to welcome you to our 5th annual conference here in Brussels. I would like to extend my warm welcome to our distinguished speakers from the European institutions, the Swiss authorities and the private sector, which have kindly accepted to join our panel discussions today. As you probably know, the Swiss Finance Council was established in 2013 to foster dialogue around policy developments in finance, both at the European and at the international levels. Our members, UBS and Credit Suisse, are globally active banks with a strong European presence, as well as a strong interest in functioning and open single markets. And this has been at the origin of our discussions at the time when Axel and I decided that we felt it would make sense to set something up here in Brussels to be much closer to where the decisions are being taken and prepared. So what we do at the SFC is every year we publish a discussion paper which contributes to current regulatory discussions. Last year's study was devoted to the importance of international regulatory cooperation to counter the crisis of fragmentation we are witnessing from differentiated national implementation to globally designed rules, a topic that we could have probably as well tabled as well this year and probably will be able to table for the next couple of years if we want to. On this point, we welcome that the Financial Stability Board as well as the Japanese G20 presidency have identified regulatory fragmentation as one of the key challenges to be addressed. In many aspects, this year's discussion paper builds upon the previous year's discussion. We examine how regulatory reforms and the subsequent implementation by banks have contributed to stabilize the financial system and overall led to better management of risks. While prudential risks have been largely addressed, there are other evolving risks which we highlight and analyze in our discussion paper this year. In particular, we have identified 3 key areas which we will explore in the form of case studies. First, the cumulative risk from complex and multi-level regulation. Second, cybersecurity and operational resilience overall. And third, the risk associated with climate change. While there is a strong dialogue between the financial sector and the regulatory community concerning these evolving risks, we feel that their increased prominence over the last few years necessitates a new engagement model. These evolving risks are different in nature compared to prudential risks. A well-coordinated, structured and open dialogue between policymakers and the industry will be necessary to effectively tackle issues to the financial markets arising from regulatory complexity, cyber threats and, as I mentioned, climate change going forward. Our first panel today will focus on what has been achieved in the fields of prudential regulation and recovery and resolution planning and discuss remaining efforts required to make the best out of these reforms. In the following, our second panel will look at cyber risk because of the urgency to join forces and take concrete actions to build a more robust system in potential future crises and also to discuss as to how, in fact, the private and the public sector can cooperate in this space where it's probably more necessary than in many other areas. This year's conference is particularly timely. EU policymakers are working hard to finalize as many pieces of legislation as possible before the forthcoming European elections, followed by the nomination of a new European Commission in the autumn with a new set of priorities. In a challenging year for Europe, but also for the relationship between the EU and Switzerland, we look forward to working with the outgoing as well as incoming policymakers to ensure we maintain an open dialogue between policymakers and the financial sector, including with the EU's main trading partners and significant financial centers. The Swiss economy is closely interlinked with the European Union. There's no doubt about it. Zurich is the 2nd largest financial center in Europe after London. Switzerland is also the 2nd largest EU trading partner in goods and services. In this respect, the framework agreement between the European Union and Switzerland, which is under consultation in Switzerland at the moment, is the result of long negotiations. And it would be desirable to sign the framework agreement as soon as possible. It permits to maintain and to further develop the bilateral relations between both parties. Only an approach that considers the mutual economic and political interests in the EU-Swiss discussions will increase the EU's competitiveness in comparison with the United States and China and will contribute to the creation of welfare, growth and jobs. In this respect, I wish you all a very interesting conference, and I'm looking forward to some thought-provoking discussions later this morning. Thank you very much.